Have you ever wondered if the future is already written? From political chaos to natural disasters. Some believe the world's biggest events are not just random but foretold centuries ago. Among the many prophets in history, one name stands out: Nostradamus. His cryptic verses have captivated humanity for generations, seemingly predicting everything from Napoleon's rise to World War II and even 9/11. But what about the future? What lies ahead in 2025? And how much of it has already been set in motion by the events of 2024? Nostradamus' writings point to a year of great upheaval, with chilling predictions of wars, environmental catastrophes, and even a mysterious figure who could change the fate of humanity forever. Before we dive into the details, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more content like this. And you won't want to miss the next part where we uncover even more mysterious prophecies. Alright. Let's get started and explore what 2025 could have in store for us. The year 2024 is expected to be a turning point, with several events aligning to shape the world in unprecedented ways. Nostradamus' enigmatic quatrains, paired with modern interpretations, paint a vivid picture of challenges and transformations that could define this year. Let's break down some of the key predictions for 2024. 1. Political unrest and global power shifts. One of the most recurring themes in Nostradamus' writings is political instability. Quatrains referencing the collapse of mighty towers and the lion falling from its throne are often interpreted as symbols of governments or powerful nations undergoing crises. In 2024, global superpowers could experience shifts in leadership or even significant unrest. United States and Western powers. Nostradamus' mention of a house divided has been linked to the deepening political polarization in countries like the United States. With a crucial election cycle approaching, tensions might reach a breaking point, sparking widespread protests or even civil unrest. Asia's rising influence. References to a dragon rising under the moon have often been associated with China. In 2024, its growing global influence could lead to escalations in geopolitical conflicts, particularly in the South China Sea or over Taiwan. Simultaneously, India's expanding economic and political clout might shift regional dynamics further. 2. Economic crises and financial instability. Nostradamus wrote about gold losing its value and trade collapsing under false promises. Analysts have interpreted these verses as potential indicators of economic downturns. With ongoing inflation, supply chain disruptions, and mounting global debt, 2024 could bring a significant market crash or correction in major economies. Increased unemployment due to the adoption of automation and artificial intelligence. The rise of alternative financial systems, including cryptocurrencies or decentralized economies, as traditional banking systems face unprecedented challenges. 3. Climate catastrophes. Perhaps one of the most haunting predictions attributed to Nostradamus involves natural disasters. His verses about fire in the sky, rivers boiling and oceans swallowing cities have been interpreted as warnings of escalating climate crises. Record-breaking heat waves. 2024 could see extreme heat events, exacerbating wildfires, droughts, and water shortages. Regions like Southern Europe, parts of North America, and Australia might face unprecedented environmental challenges. Flooding and rising sea levels. With accelerated polar ice melt, major coastal cities around the world, such as Miami, Jakarta, and Venice, might experience severe flooding. Nostradamus' cryptic mention of islands disappearing might become a grim reality. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Some quatrains describe the ground splitting apart, which has been linked to potential seismic activity. Countries along the Pacific Ring of Fire, such as Japan, Indonesia, and the United States, could face significant geological events. 4. Advances in technology and AI. While Nostradamus wrote in terms of metaphors, some interpreters believe his descriptions of man's creation surpassing himself point toward artificial intelligence. 2024 might witness the integration of AI in nearly all aspects of life, from healthcare to warfare. Ethical debates intensifying over the use of AI in areas like surveillance, privacy, and human rights. Breakthroughs in space exploration, with new discoveries about life beyond Earth. 5. A global pandemic resurgence. Nostradamus' verses about plagues returning stronger than before have led some to speculate about the possibility of new health crises. While humanity has learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, emerging diseases or antibiotic-resistant infections might test global healthcare systems once again. 6. Signs of war and global conflicts. Another recurring theme in Nostradamus' writings is war. Phrases like, blood on the battlefield, and, two great powers clashing, have sparked fears of major conflicts. In 2024, tensions in various regions could escalate. Eastern Europe, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine might either reach a resolution or expand, involving more nations. Middle East, Nostradamus' mention of fire in the Holy Lands has been interpreted as rising tensions or even war in the Middle East, possibly involving Israel, Iran, or neighboring states. 7. Spiritual awakening or moral decline. Finally, Nostradamus often wrote about humanity's moral and spiritual journey. References to the veil being lifted have been interpreted in two contrasting ways. A new age of enlightenment, 2024, could bring a shift in collective consciousness, with people becoming more aware of issues like climate change, inequality, and the need for global unity. Descent into chaos, alternatively. Some believe Nostradamus' warnings suggest a moral decline, with greed, corruption, and division prevailing. A year of opportunities and challenges. While these predictions paint a foreboding picture, they also serve as a reminder of humanity's resilience. Whether it's navigating political challenges, adapting to climate change, or embracing new technologies, 2024 offers an opportunity for individuals and nations to shape a brighter future. As we move into the unknown, remember to reflect on these predictions not as certainties but as possibilities. The future is still ours to create. The British royal family has always been a subject of fascination, with its traditions, scandals, and enduring influence on British culture and beyond. In 2025, the monarchy faces a year of significant challenges and transformations, with some experts suggesting that it could be one of the most pivotal years in the modern history of the House of Windsor. Let's explore what 2025 might hold for this iconic institution. 1. A changing role for King Charles III. Having ascended the throne in September 2022, King Charles III has spent the past 3 years navigating the complex role of being both a symbol of continuity and a force for modernization. However, 2025 could test his reign like never before, balancing tradition and modernity. As a monarch with progressive views on topics like climate change and interfaith dialogue, King Charles continues to face the challenge of balancing the expectations of a traditionalist base with the demands of a modern, diverse Britain. In 2025, the King is expected to take a more active role in environmental advocacy, leveraging his global platform to address the climate crisis. However, critics may accuse him of overstepping the boundaries of a constitutional monarch. Strengthening the Commonwealth. The King's role as the head of the Commonwealth, a group of 56 nations, is also under scrutiny. Several nations, including Jamaica and other Caribbean states, have already indicated intentions to cut ties with the monarchy and become republics. 2025 might see additional countries following suit, forcing the royal family to redefine its relationship with the Commonwealth in the 21st century. 2. Prince William and Princess Catherine, the future of the monarchy. The Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine, are widely seen as the future of the monarchy. In 2025, their responsibilities are expected to grow as they step further into the spotlight. Increasing public engagement. As public support for the monarchy continues to decline among younger generations, William and Catherine will likely focus on modernizing the institution's image. Their work on mental health advocacy, early childhood education, and environmental sustainability could serve as bridges to connect with younger audiences. A heavier workload. With King Charles now in his mid-70s, Prince William is likely to take on more ceremonial and diplomatic duties in preparation for his eventual ascension to the throne. 2025 might see him leading more international tours, particularly in regions like Africa and the Asia-Pacific, to maintain the monarchy's global relevance. 3. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, a year of reckoning. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle remain some of the most polarizing figures associated with the royal family. Despite stepping back from royal duties in 2020, their every move continues to attract global attention. In 2025, several factors could determine their future trajectory. Continued media presence. Following the release of Harry's memoir Spare and their Netflix documentary in previous years, the Sussexes have cemented themselves as outspoken critics of royal traditions. In 2025, they are expected to continue pursuing media projects. However, their relevance could wane if they fail to offer fresh narratives or projects beyond criticism of the monarchy. Potential reconciliation. Speculations of a reconciliation with the royal family have circulated, but 2025 might be a defining year. Events like royal ceremonies or anniversaries could offer opportunities for Harry and Meghan to repair fractured relationships. Conversely, ongoing tensions could further alienate them from the rest of the family. 4. The younger royals, a new generation steps forward. The next generation of royals, including Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, are beginning to play a more prominent role in public life. Prince George's growing role as the second in line to the throne. Prince George is increasingly becoming a public figure. In 2025, he might appear at more official events, marking his gradual introduction to royal duties. These appearances will not only highlight his position as a future monarch but also reinforce the continuity of the Windsor lineage. Focus on education and values. The younger generation is being raised with a strong focus on modern values. Public appearances by George, Charlotte, and Louis are likely to emphasize themes of humility, environmental stewardship, and inclusivity, reflecting the monarchy's attempt to adapt to a changing world. 5. Scandals and public scrutiny. The British royal family is no stranger to scandal, and 2025 might bring fresh controversies or the resurfacing of old ones. Prince Andrew's ongoing issues. Despite stepping back from public duties, Prince Andrew remains a significant liability for the monarchy. Any developments in his legal and financial affairs could reignite public criticism, further damaging the institution's reputation. Royal finances under the microscope. With the cost of living crisis affecting millions in the UK, the monarchy's use of public funds is likely to come under greater scrutiny in 2025. Questions about the sovereign grant and the maintenance of royal residences could spark debates about the institution's relevance and cost in modern times. 6. public sentiment and the future of the monarchy. Public support for the monarchy has been gradually declining, particularly among younger generations. Polls show that many Britons question the relevance of a hereditary institution in a democratic society. Republican movements gaining momentum. In 2025, Republican movements in the UK could grow louder, particularly in the wake of controversies or public dissatisfaction. Groups like Republic are likely to push for reforms or even the abolition of the monarchy. The role of tradition. Despite these challenges, the monarchy's rich history and cultural significance continue to resonate with many Britons. Events like Trooping the Colour, royal weddings, or jubilees still draw global attention, underscoring the monarchy's enduring appeal as a symbol of British identity. What lies ahead for the royal family? As 2025 unfolds, the British royal family will face a delicate balancing act, preserving centuries-old traditions while adapting to the realities of the modern world. Whether it's navigating political challenges, addressing public criticism, or embracing the opportunities brought by the younger generation, the monarchy's ability to evolve will determine its survival in the years to come. The question remains, can the British royal family maintain its relevance? Or are we witnessing the gradual decline of one of the world's most iconic institutions? As we look ahead to 2025, the world remains a place where the specter of conflict and the increasing frequency of natural disasters loom large. These events have the power to shape geopolitics, disrupt economies, and alter the course of human history. The year 2025 promises to bring new challenges, as well as an opportunity for nations to reconsider their priorities when it comes to climate change, defense strategies, and international cooperation. In this section, we delve into the potential global conflicts and natural disasters that could define 2025. 1. Geopolitical tensions and the risk of war. War remains one of the greatest uncertainties of the modern world. And despite global efforts to avoid conflict, tensions between major powers and regional disputes continue to simmer beneath the surface. U.S.-China relations. The relationship between the United States and China is expected to be one of the most closely watched dynamics in 2025. As China continues to assert itself militarily, particularly in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait, tensions with the U.S. and its allies may reach new heights. A potential flashpoint could occur if China were to increase its military presence in the region, prompting a military response or further diplomatic sanctions from the West. The risks of a military clash over Taiwan, or even a broader U.S.-China confrontation, could increase in 2025, particularly if diplomatic efforts fail to de-escalate the situation. Russia's ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the conflict has been one of the most significant crises in Europe. By 2025, this war could either be nearing an end, depending on the success of peace talks or a decisive victory for one side, or it could escalate further. Should Russia continue to resist international pressure and maintain its territorial ambitions in Ukraine, the conflict could have far-reaching consequences. Additionally, NATO's involvement and the potential for direct military engagement between Russia and Western countries will likely remain a critical issue in global security. The repercussions of this ongoing war will continue to reverberate throughout the world. Middle East and regional conflicts. The Middle East remains a region rife with volatility. In 2025, the ongoing conflict in Syria, Iran's nuclear ambitions, and the instability in Iraq could continue to fuel tensions. The rivalry between Sunni and Shia factions, as well as the influence of major powers like the US, Russia, and China, could lead to further instability. Tensions surrounding Israel and Palestine may also persist, with continued clashes over territory and resources potentially escalating into full-blown conflict. Africa's growing security threats. While much of the global focus has been on Europe and Asia, the security situation in Africa is also becoming increasingly critical. In countries like Ethiopia, Nigeria, and the Sahel region, internal conflicts, insurgencies, and terrorist activities are a growing concern. The African continent, with its many unstable governments and resource-rich areas, is at risk of further instability, particularly as international actors become more involved in the region. The role of organizations like the African Union and the United Nations will be pivotal in either curbing these conflicts or allowing them to spiral out of control. Nuclear proliferation. The proliferation of nuclear weapons, especially in volatile regions, remains a critical concern. Countries such as North Korea and Iran have made significant advancements in their nuclear capabilities, and the potential for a nuclear arms race or even limited nuclear conflict cannot be ruled out. In 2025, efforts to curb nuclear proliferation, such as diplomacy, arms control agreements, and non-proliferation initiatives, will face significant challenges. 2. Natural disasters, escalating impacts of climate change. While geopolitical conflicts pose a significant threat to global stability, the increasing occurrence and severity of natural disasters, driven in large part by climate change, are becoming a dominant force in shaping the future. In 2025, the world is likely to see the continuation of climate-related events that have the potential to devastate communities and ecosystems. Extreme weather events. Climate scientists predict that in 2025, the frequency of extreme weather events will increase. This includes stronger hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons, as well as more intense heat waves and droughts. These events, which are already becoming more common, will place further stress on already vulnerable populations. Countries in the Caribbean, Southeast Asia, and the Gulf Coast of the U.S. are particularly at risk. Severe flooding, coastal erosion, and storm surges will continue to threaten millions of people, as infrastructure struggles to keep up with the scale and frequency of these natural disasters. Wildfires and deforestation. Wildfires, especially in areas like the American West, Australia, and parts of Europe, have been growing more devastating in recent years. With higher temperatures and prolonged droughts, regions that are already prone to wildfires will face even greater risk in 2025. The destruction of forests and agricultural lands, as well as the displacement of millions of people, could reach new levels of urgency. Moreover, the increased frequency of these fires will accelerate global deforestation, impacting biodiversity and contributing to the worsening effects of climate change. Flooding and sea level rise. One of the most pressing threats associated with climate change is rising sea levels, which are causing chronic flooding in coastal regions. In cities like Miami, Jakarta, and even Venice, this issue is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. In 2025, communities that are already experiencing regular flooding may be forced to relocate or adapt to new ways of living. Rising ocean temperatures and the loss of ice from polar regions will also exacerbate the situation, leading to the displacement of millions of people living in low-lying areas. The cost of rebuilding and responding to these disasters will continue to strain national budgets, particularly in poorer countries. Food security and water scarcity. Droughts and shifting weather patterns are expected to disrupt food production in key agricultural regions around the world. In countries such as India, China, and parts of sub-Saharan Africa, changes in rainfall patterns could lead to widespread crop failures. In 2025, food insecurity may rise, putting millions at risk of hunger. At the same time, water scarcity, exacerbated by reduced rainfall and the overuse of water resources, could lead to conflicts over water access and supply shortages. Nations that rely on agriculture for their economies could be particularly vulnerable. Earthquakes and tsunamis. Earthquakes and tsunamis remain an ever-present threat, particularly in regions like the Pacific Ring of Fire. While these events are less predictable than weather-related disasters, 2025 could see significant seismic activity. Large earthquakes, accompanied by tsunamis, could devastate coastal cities and disrupt economies. The preparedness and resilience of nations in earthquake-prone regions will be critical in mitigating the damage caused by these sudden and catastrophic events. 3. The global response, preparedness and adaptation. In response to the rising threats of both war and natural disasters, global cooperation and preparedness will be key in shaping the world of 2025. Governments, international organizations, and local communities must work together to mitigate risks, adapt to new realities, and build resilience. Diplomatic efforts and conflict resolution. While the likelihood of major global wars remains uncertain, ongoing diplomatic efforts will be crucial in avoiding conflicts. International treaties, arms control agreements, and mediation by global organizations like the United Nations will be essential in defusing tensions and preventing escalation. The success of these efforts will determine the future peace and security of the global order. Climate action and disaster preparedness. Nations around the world will need to intensify their climate action efforts, implementing policies to reduce emissions, protect ecosystems, and invest in renewable energy. At the same time, disaster preparedness will become an urgent priority. Countries will need to invest in resilient infrastructure, early warning systems, and emergency response strategies to cope with the rising frequency of natural disasters. Humanitarian aid and recovery. As the frequency of both conflict and natural disasters increases, the role of humanitarian organizations will become even more vital. International aid will be crucial in providing relief to affected populations and rebuilding communities. In 2025, the coordination of global efforts in humanitarian assistance will need to be more efficient and focused to meet the growing needs of displaced populations. Conclusion. As we look ahead to 2025, the world will continue to grapple with the dual challenges of war and natural disasters. While efforts to prevent conflicts and mitigate the effects of climate change are ongoing, the unpredictable nature of global events means that humanity must be prepared for both. The actions taken in the coming years will shape the world for generations to come. And it is clear that global cooperation, resilience, and adaptability will be essential in navigating the uncertainties of 2025 and beyond. As humanity moves deeper into the 21st century, many people continue to wrestle with the profound questions of existence, morality, and the future of humankind. A particularly compelling, yet deeply unsettling topic within the realms of religious prophecy, theology, and cultural narratives is the figure of the Antichrist and the concept of humanity's judgment. These ideas, often intertwined in various traditions, represent the culmination of the battle between good and evil. An apocalyptic scenario where humanity must face its ultimate reckoning. Looking ahead to 2025, it is worth considering how these ancient narratives might be interpreted or even manifest in a rapidly changing world. Will the Antichrist figure emerge as a political or religious leader? Or will humanity's judgment take a form that is more symbolic, reflecting our collective failure to address global challenges like climate change, inequality, and conflict? Let's explore these concepts in the context of the present-day world and the year 2025. 1. The Antichrist, a symbol of ultimate evil or a coming leader. The figure of the Antichrist is a central figure in Christian eschatology. Often described as a charismatic, deceptive leader who will rise to power in the end times. This individual is often thought to lead the world astray, promoting a vision of peace that is ultimately false and leading humanity into an era of great tribulation. Political interpretations. Some modern interpretations of the Antichrist have linked this figure to political leaders who rise to power through manipulation, false promises, and authoritarianism. In 2025, it is conceivable that global political leaders could be viewed by some as fulfilling the role of the Antichrist if they leverage populist rhetoric and divisive ideologies to consolidate power. Leaders who prioritize nationalistic agendas, undermine democratic institutions, or engage in violent conflicts may fit into these end-times narratives, especially if they promise peace while stirring up chaos. Technological Antichrist. In today's rapidly evolving world, another possibility is that the Antichrist could take on a more abstract form. As technology continues to advance at an unprecedented rate, some could view the rise of artificial intelligence, mass surveillance, or social manipulation technologies as elements of a modern Antichrist. If AI were used to control individuals, manipulate elections, or push society toward dystopian control, some might interpret these developments as signs of the Antichrist's influence. Religious interpretations. For others, the Antichrist might be a religious figure, someone who emerges to challenge or deceive the faithful, promising false salvation and leading believers away from the truth. In the context of 2025, this could manifest as a false prophet who manipulates religious followers, claiming divine authority while promoting evil. This figure might seek to exploit the fragmentation of religious communities and the rise of spiritual cynicism, gaining followers by offering solutions to the world's crises but ultimately sowing discord. 2. Humanity's judgment, the apocalypse and moral reckoning. The idea of humanity's judgment often carries with it a dual concept, divine judgment, where humanity must answer for its sins, and a more existential judgment, in which humans face the consequences of their collective actions. In 2025, the question arises, will this judgment take a supernatural form? Or will it be a moral and ecological reckoning that reflects humanity's failure to heed warnings about climate change, war, and social inequality? Judgment in the context of climate change. One of the most pressing challenges that humanity faces in the coming years is the accelerating pace of climate change. In 2025, the impact of global warming may be unmistakably clear. Rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and the destruction of ecosystems could be seen by some as the Earth's response to humanity's disregard for the planet. This could be interpreted as a form of judgment, where the Earth itself is judging humanity for its unsustainable practices, such as overconsumption, deforestation, and pollution. The effects of environmental degradation may bring a collective reckoning, forcing humanity to confront the consequences of its actions. Technological judgment. Another potential form of humanity's judgment could be related to technology. As humanity continues to develop artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and other advanced technologies, there is an increasing risk of unforeseen consequences. What happens if these technologies are misused? In 2025, we could see the rise of ethical dilemmas that challenge the very fabric of human existence. The inability to regulate and control technological advancements may lead to outcomes where human society faces its judgment through its creations, whether through AI taking over critical systems, genetic engineering leading to catastrophic consequences, or the emergence of autonomous weapons. Humanity's reliance on unchecked technology may be seen as a form of judgment on its own arrogance and hubris. Moral and social reckoning. On a societal level, humanity may face judgment in 2025 for its inability to address deep-rooted issues such as inequality, injustice, and corruption. The growing divide between rich and poor, the exploitation of marginalized groups, and the erosion of democratic norms could come to a head in this year. This moral reckoning may take the form of widespread social movements, revolutions, or even global uprisings as people demand justice, equality, and a more equitable world order. In this view, humanity's judgment could be an awakening, an opportunity for collective action to remedy the wrongs of the past and build a better future. 3. A global awakening or cataclysmic end. As we approach 2025, the age-old questions about the Antichrist and humanity's judgment remain as relevant as ever. Some may view the events unfolding around the world as the rise of the Antichrist, the fulfillment of ancient prophecies, and the beginning of the end times. Others may interpret these events as opportunities for human growth, spiritual awakening, and transformation. Apocalyptic or transformative view. The Antichrist, in many traditions, is seen as a harbinger of the apocalypse, a final battle between good and evil that will end with the triumph of righteousness. However, others interpret these prophecies differently, viewing them as metaphors for personal and societal challenges that can lead to transformation and renewal. The challenges facing humanity in 2025, climate change, inequality, political instability, are immense. But they also offer opportunities for profound change. This could be a time when humanity confronts its flaws and comes together to chart a new course, united in the pursuit of peace, justice, and sustainability. The role of spirituality in 2025. In the face of these challenges, many people around the world may turn to religion, spirituality, and philosophy to find meaning and guidance. Whether through traditional religious practices or newer forms of spiritual exploration, humanity's search for purpose will likely intensify. For some, this may be an opportunity to align with divine forces in an effort to confront the evils of the world. Others may seek to transcend the darkness of the Antichrist figure in humanity's judgment through self-discovery, ethical living, and collective action for the greater good. Conclusion: Judgment and Transformation in 2025. Looking ahead to 2025, it is clear that the themes of the Antichrist and humanity's judgment continue to hold deep relevance. While some may interpret these themes literally, others will view them as symbolic representations of the challenges we face in the modern world. Whether it is the rise of a tyrannical figure or the collective judgment humanity faces for its actions, these concepts serve as stark reminders of the moral and spiritual crossroads we find ourselves at. As we approach this critical year, the choices we make, individually and collectively, will shape our future, for better or for worse. The question of whether 2025 will be a year of reckoning or renewal ultimately depends on how we respond to the crises before us, and whether we choose to align ourselves with the forces of good or succumb to the darkness of the Antichrist. When examining the predictions for 2025, one of the most insightful ways to understand the potential course of the future is to analyze the events and lessons of history. Human society has undergone countless transformations, endured wars, faced natural disasters, and experienced profound moments of moral reckoning. These historical events are not just distant memories, they offer valuable lessons that can guide us in understanding the trajectory of humanity and the challenges we face today. History is replete with instances where people, nations, and civilizations have experienced both triumphs and failures. As we look forward to 2025, we can draw meaningful lessons from past events, both to avoid repeating mistakes and to better understand how we might respond to the inevitable crises ahead. 1. The rise and fall of civilizations, a warning for our time. Throughout history, many great civilizations have risen to prominence, only to decline and fall into obscurity. From the fall of the Roman Empire to the collapse of the Soviet Union, the decline of societies often follows a similar pattern. Whether due to economic mismanagement, political corruption, overexpansion, or failure to adapt to new challenges, civilizations have faced their downfall when they ignored warning signs or failed to evolve in response to changing circumstances. The Roman Empire, for instance, was once a powerful force that dominated vast territories. But its inability to effectively manage its borders, the rising inequality among its citizens, and the strain of maintaining such a vast empire led to its downfall. Similarly, in the 20th century, the Soviet Union fell apart largely due to political stagnation, economic inefficiency, and its failure to adapt to the changing global order. The lesson from these collapses is clear: failure to adapt to changing circumstances, whether through political, economic, or social reform, can lead to the downfall of even the most powerful nations and empires. As we approach 2025, it is critical that global leaders and societies learn from these past failures. The rise of nationalism, authoritarianism, and political polarization in many parts of the world today is a potential red flag that mirrors some of the tensions that have led to the downfall of past civilizations. The lesson here is that societies must remain flexible, embrace innovation, and address the root causes of division before they become insurmountable. 2. The impact of war, the cost of conflict. The 20th century was marked by 2 world wars that devastated nations, caused unimaginable loss of life, and changed the course of history. The aftermath of both World War I and World War II offers a stark reminder of the cost of conflict, both in terms of human lives and the long-lasting economic and social consequences. While these wars reshaped the political landscape of the world, they also left deep scars that are still felt today, in the form of unresolved territorial disputes, ethnic tensions, and the persistence of global power struggles. One of the key lessons we can draw from these wars is the devastating impact of unchecked militarism and the failure to pursue diplomacy. Both World War I and World War II were preceded by escalating tensions, poor communication, and the unwillingness of leaders to engage in meaningful dialogue. In 2025, the lessons of history demand that the international community prioritize diplomacy, peacebuilding, and conflict prevention. While military conflict may still seem unavoidable in some parts of the world, we must ask ourselves, what can be done to prevent the escalation of tensions and avoid the catastrophic costs of war? The aftermath of World War II also ushered in the creation of international institutions like the United Nations, designed to prevent future conflicts and promote cooperation. However, in recent years, the effectiveness of these institutions has been questioned. As geopolitical tensions rise again, for 2025 and beyond, it is essential that nations not only support these organizations but also work to strengthen international cooperation, embrace conflict resolution, and prioritize peaceful solutions. 3. The Great Depression and economic cycles, the importance of economic resilience. The Great Depression of the 1930s was one of the most devastating economic crises in modern history. Triggered by the 1929 stock market crash, it led to widespread unemployment, poverty, and suffering for millions of people around the world. The Depression revealed the vulnerabilities of the global economic system and highlighted the need for robust financial regulation. social safety nets, and international cooperation in times of crisis. In the wake of the Great Depression, many nations adopted new economic policies, including social welfare programs, labor rights protections, and the establishment of central banks with the power to stabilize the economy. The most notable example of this is the New Deal in the United States, which sought to mitigate the effects of the Depression by investing in public infrastructure and creating jobs. One of the key takeaways from this period is the importance of economic resilience, having mechanisms in place to cushion the blows of economic downturns and ensure that no one is left behind. In the context of 2025, the lessons from the Great Depression are crucial. The global economy today faces many of the same challenges as the early 20th century: rising inequality, labor market disruptions, and the ongoing fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. These issues have been exacerbated by technological advancements that are reshaping industries, potentially leaving millions of workers displaced. The lesson from history is clear: nations must be proactive in addressing these challenges. Investing in economic resilience, supporting education and retraining programs, and implementing policies that promote economic equality and financial stability. 4. Natural disasters, preparing for the inevitable. Natural disasters have always been a part of human history. But in recent years, their frequency and intensity have been increasing due to the effects of climate change. From devastating hurricanes to wildfires, earthquakes, and floods. These events not only cause immeasurable loss of life but also highlight the vulnerability of human societies to forces beyond their control. History offers important lessons about the need for disaster preparedness and resilience. In the aftermath of past disasters, countries have learned the importance of building resilient infrastructure, establishing early warning systems, and creating disaster relief protocols. For example, following the devastating 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean, many countries in the region worked to improve early warning systems and create better evacuation plans. The lesson from history is that we cannot control natural disasters, but we can take steps to mitigate their impact. Investing in sustainable, climate-resilient infrastructure, enhancing disaster preparedness, and global cooperation on issues like climate change are essential for the future. As the world faces the possibility of increasingly frequent and intense natural disasters in 2025, nations must remember that prevention and preparation are the keys to reducing the loss of life and ensuring the stability of societies in the face of crisis. 5. Social movements and progress, the power of collective action. Throughout history, social movements have played a crucial role in challenging injustices and advancing the cause of human rights and social progress. From the abolition of slavery to the civil rights movements in the United States, and more recently, the fight for gender equality and climate justice. History is full of examples of how collective action can lead to meaningful change. In 2025, we are witnessing a growing global awareness of issues such as gender equality, racial justice, and climate change, driven largely by the youth-led movements and social activism that have taken shape over the last decade. The lesson from history is that change is possible, but it often requires sustained effort, unity, and resilience in the face of opposition. Looking to history, it is clear that social movements have often faced significant resistance. But in the end, they have succeeded in reshaping societies and improving lives. In 2025, as people around the world continue to grapple with deep-rooted inequalities and environmental crises, the ability of individuals to come together for the common good will be a crucial determinant of success. As we face these challenges, we must remember the power of collective action and the lessons of history that demonstrate its ability to reshape the future. Conclusion. The lessons of history are clear: adaptation, cooperation, and resilience are the keys to overcoming the challenges of the future. Whether addressing the political and social turmoil, economic instability, or environmental crises that lie ahead, humanity must learn from its past to build a better, more sustainable future. As we look to 2025 and beyond, the events of history remind us that the course of our future is not predetermined, it is shaped by the choices we make today. If we heed these lessons, we have the opportunity to create a world that is more just, more peaceful, and more prepared for the challenges ahead. As we reflect on the predictions for 2025 and the lessons drawn from history, it becomes evident that the future of humanity is far from set in stone. We stand at a crossroads where the decisions and actions we take today will shape the world for generations to come. While there are significant challenges on the horizon, from political instability to environmental crises and economic disruptions, there are also incredible opportunities for growth, unity, and progress. The key to navigating the complexities of the future lies in our ability to learn from the past, act with foresight, and embrace the power of collective action. We have seen throughout history that change is inevitable, and often, it is driven by a combination of adversity and resilience. Whether through the rise and fall of civilizations, the consequences of war, the effects of economic downturns, or the fight for social justice, history teaches us that progress is possible, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Yet, these advancements are only achieved when individuals, communities, and nations come together with a shared vision for a better future. The predictions for 2025 are filled with uncertainty, but they also present an opportunity to take meaningful action. The lessons from the past remind us that we must adapt to changing circumstances, prioritize diplomacy, build resilient economies, and address the root causes of inequality. Additionally, we must embrace innovation and collaborate on global challenges, such as climate change, technology, and health, to ensure that we leave behind a world that is more sustainable, equitable, and secure. As we move forward, the question becomes, what role will you play in shaping the future? Will you be passive in the face of uncertainty? Or will you take action to help steer the world toward a positive and transformative future? Each of us has the power to make a difference, whether through small, everyday actions or by contributing to larger movements aimed at creating social, environmental, and political change. It is up to all of us to act now. The clock is ticking, and the window of opportunity to address pressing global issues, such as climate change, technological disruptions, and social justice, is closing. In 2025, we must hold ourselves accountable to future generations, ensuring that we leave behind a world that is not only sustainable but also just and inclusive. For those who are still uncertain about where to begin, here are a few actionable steps. Engage in informed discussions, stay informed about the challenges and opportunities facing our world. Educate yourself on the issues of climate change, political instability, and social inequality. And engage in conversations that promote understanding and collective action. Support policies that promote resilience, advocate for policies that address the root causes of global challenges, such as climate change and economic inequality. Push for the development of technologies and infrastructure that are sustainable, equitable, and capable of withstanding the challenges of the future. Support social movements and activism, whether it's fighting for gender equality, racial justice, or environmental protection. Getting involved in social movements can be a powerful way to contribute to change. Support initiatives that work toward creating a more inclusive and just society for all. Foster collaboration and unity, embrace the idea of global cooperation and work toward building stronger international partnerships that prioritize diplomacy, mutual respect, and peaceful conflict resolution. The challenges of the future cannot be solved by any one country alone, they require a united global effort. Led by example, whether you're an individual or a leader in your community. Strive to set an example by acting in ways that reflect the values of empathy, responsibility, and foresight. Your actions, no matter how small, can have a ripple effect that influences others to follow suit. In conclusion, while the future is uncertain, our collective actions today can significantly impact what lies ahead. By drawing upon the lessons of history and facing the challenges of 2025 with determination, unity, and a clear sense of purpose, we can create a world that is not only prepared for the future but actively shaping it for the better. It is time to act. And together, we can make a difference. The future is in our hands. Let's take action today to create a better tomorrow.